Hello everyone, my name is Mia Cardenas and I am a senior at Washington County High School. For this first semester, my Explore project is called Careers on Camera, which focuses on finding the career that is the best fit for me. There are so many different pathways that we can choose to go into, and from this project, I wanted to gain a little more exposure into some of the careers that I am interested in. The first step to my project was figuring out what careers I wanted to learn more about. I started off by going to the great database of the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics Occupational Outlook Handbook to look at a very large list of possible occupations. I wrote down all those that piqued my interest and then cross-matched those with what my Zello account said I might be good at, or not so good at. By doing this, I was able to reevaluate what careers might be better than others. Even after this, I still had a few too many careers to work with. I narrowed down my list even more by deciding which careers would be the most realistic for me to pursue in my area, which is a rural town called Washington, Kansas. After doing this, I was able to narrow my career options to 4 different jobs, all of which I was very excited to learn more about. The 4 I decided to explore were optometrist, EMT, pharmacist, and chiropractor. I then conducted some in-depth research on each one of the careers. I recorded information such as median pay, job outlook, location, responsibilities, and education/training needed. Step 2 of my project was actually getting it off the ground. To do this, I needed to reach out to the people who had the occupations I was interested in. I decided to type up a project proposal document that would go specifically to the people I was hoping to shadow. I needed to let them know what the Explore program is, what the goal of my project is, and what I was asking of them, which was at least 1 shadow from 1 to 3 p.m. and a recorded interview. I also needed to let them know that I was going to take lots of pictures and video clips for my final presentation video. I understood that this request was not something I wanted to ask someone on the spot. After all, they do have jobs and they needed time to think about it. A couple days after I sent out my forms, I got 3 responses saying they were interested in. I immediately began corresponding with the optometrist, EMT, and chiropractor about what days would work for them. Eventually, we got the dates aligned for all and everything was set to go. However, I never heard back from the pharmacist, so I needed to choose a new occupation. I ended up deciding to shadow a bank president because I wanted to expand my horizon to a career I had never really considered before. So now it's time to start the fun part, job shadowing. The first place I went was the Dr. Stoppel and Brown Optometry Clinic to shadow Dr. Stoppel. My afternoon there was very busy. There were patients in and out constantly throughout the 2 hours I was there. This was a tremendous experience because I was able to get a realistic idea of what it's like to interact with patients very consistently. During this time, I learned a lot about cataracts and glaucoma, which are terms I had definitely heard before, but was never exactly sure what they were. I have learned about glaucomas, which is when the pressure in your eyes is too high, which results in irreparable vision loss. All in all, it was a very informative day and it's really awesome. I learned a lot and I am so excited for Friday shadow. But because we didn't get everything done in the first 2 hours we had together though, we decided to add an additional shadow that went throughout another morning. I got up bright and early and headed to the office for another day of learning. This day, I got a chance to learn a little more about the instruments we all recognize when we go in for our own annual eye appointments. These instruments include
a phoropter. Phoropter is just a multi-lens instrumentation. As you change the lenses from the outside, patients see different things through that instrument. Autorefractor, it does a computerized measurement of the focus of the eye and the curvature, the shape of the eye. Autoperimeter is for detection of loss of vision, peripheral vision. It allows us to see in real time the layers and the structures of the inside of the eye.
And a newer instrument that tests night blindness.
DX, it's a dark adaptation test device.
I also learned about a few glasses repair tools, as well as how they heat up the glasses when they're adjusting them to our faces.
And what this is doing is heating up that frame to a point where you can bend the plastic and not break it. So at this point I can bend that and that becomes very pliable. Somebody that is good at adjusting frames requires that they match the frame shape to the patient's head. Everybody's head is different. So as you're shaping that, gotta have tough hands because it's pretty worn sometimes, and you can shape it back into place.
And lastly, I got to go into the room where they keep their hundreds of contact lenses. But remember, all this was in addition to the patient interaction I got that morning. I went home with a lot of helpful information about the career and some great exposure to the practitioner side of the occupation rather than the patient side. My next occupation was an emergency medical technician, EMT. So I shadowed Caroline Scoville at the Washington Fire Department. While there, I got a behind-the-scenes look at an ambulance, which was really cool because I had never actually seen the inside of one before. I also got a front row seat to seeing how our very technologically advanced gurney works.
Then we push a button to bring your legs up. So cot and patient and everything. And we can just push it right back in there.
Next, I got to see the inside of our Washington County emergency response vehicle, which is something I probably would have never seen if I hadn't done this. Next thing we knew, Caroline was being called out on an emergency. But hey, that's the life of an EMT. Overall, I had so much fun gaining some insight into this career, and I'm so grateful I got the opportunity to gain a little bit of perspective into what it's like being a first responder. After the EMT, I went to shadow chiropractor Sarah Cromie at the Portinier Chiropractic Clinic right here in Washington. Honestly, I had never been inside a Portinier's before, so the first thing I got to do was take a look at a couple of the adjustment rooms. And then Sarah was nice enough to demonstrate what the Legacy 500 massage machine does for those who are lucky enough to lie on it. I also got to watch her adjust with the chiropractor activator adjusting instrument, otherwise known as the chiropractor gun. I got a fascinating description of a model spine, and that looked a little bit like this.
These are all of the vertebrae. Your spinal cord goes inside every single vertebrae. These little holes on the sides of the vertebrae are called foramen, and all of the nerves that go to every single organ and muscle in your body come out of these little holes.
This shadow was very beneficial because I learned several components about being a chiropractor that I wouldn't have known about if I tried to go into the chiropractor field later. The fourth and final career I decided to shadow was a bank president. I know, this career is quite different from the others, but I think it's good to stay open-minded and consider several different career fields. In order to shadow a bank president, I decided to shadow Tim Matlack, president of FNB, who also happens to double as my Explore mentor. When I arrived, I got a tour of our new and improved FNB, which was cool because I had actually never seen it before, and I also got to see where they keep the popcorn machine. Next, I got to explore their very well-constructed safety deposit vault. And let me tell you, this door is industrial. Seriously, it was so heavy I could hardly stop it from swinging even a couple inches. And never fear, because the surrounding material of the room is just as strong. It is made completely out of this, which just this fragment of it, I had the pleasure of learning, is very heavy. I would now like to take a moment to thank Dr. Stoppel, Carolyn, Sarah, and Tim for taking the time to help me explore their career and giving me the invaluable opportunity to learn. And thanks to you for watching this video.